on Instagram as well. There we go. Also, we're going to try out the comments on stage. You can see it right here at the bottom right of the, well, maybe you can see the little shadow where it is. No? Okay, no worries. Well, as we get comments, hopefully they will pop up on screen. And maybe even some of them will be, like here's an, well, that's not the right one. But hopefully some of them will even be from Instagram. So I see some eyes popping on. Hey, guys.
They're starting to pop into Instagram as well.
Very good.
So you're saying that the Instagram comments might pop up altogether now?
Possibly. Okay, there we go. They're starting to pop up now on screen if you can see them. Warrior Garden Exotics, JM Exotics, and Brian. But hey, Brian, I just sent you an email. I'm totally, I can forward that stuff to Ben. He can look up the order number and we can totally do a live reveal if it's all ready.
Yeah, it looks like it's not bringing stuff from IG.
Oh, breaking my heart. StreamYard, be nice to the Instagram users.
We've got Opus Pythons. Oh man, we got a whole bunch. RZR, BK Fan 81, Triangle Morph, Riverside, Clutch Royals, Falcons Loft, Bentley's, Snake Morphs 1, VA Morphs. Yeah, there's more coming in.
Awesome.
Very good.
Hey, John.
Oh, Brian, your order got lost by USPS. No. Grab some scale clippings if you don't have those sheds anymore.
Bummer.
Right? I was looking forward to that. You sent some nice pictures and everything. But that's okay. I'm going to keep them on here, so when they do show up, then I'd be more than happy to do a live reveal here.
And on before COVID, we didn't hardly ever have stuff get lost, but after COVID, it still happens.
Yeah, I know things are kind of ugly. Like Jay works for FedEx, my partner, and so it's just a hot mess. And FedEx is regrouping, and like they're trying to basically turn the express into ground and have FedEx ground deliver express, which makes me super nervous for shipping animals. So, right, yeah.
Well, I mean that's why you just do hub to hub. That way you don't have to really.
Exactly. Yep. Hey guys, Hilltop Pythons, Royal X, Soda Balls, G Hub. What's up, guys?
I will say, man, USPS needs a massive overhaul anyway. Last time I sent sheds in with USPS on the tracking, I tracked the package and it took almost 3 weeks just to get to the mailbox in Texas.
Oh,
but
no.
Those sheds went from South Carolina all the way up into New York, all the way out to Boston, all the way back down into like Missouri somewhere, and then back up to Chicago, and then down to like Nashville before they ever went to Texas. Like, and you know, there's got to be a more efficient way for them to send stuff around the country.
Oh yeah.
Right?
That's quite the trek.
Yeah.
Snake Morphs 1 on IG says, always file extra sheds. USPS priority showed delivered, but actually lost.
No. Oh, man.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think what Sean said is every once in a while, this is really uncommon, but you do enough stuff, you get some of the uncommon things. But he said he's pretty sure every once in a while they'll put one of ours in the wrong PO box, and then whoever gets it, they probably just pitch it.
Oh, dude. Good news is it's in Texas. Okay, it is in the right state then. That's good.
Good.
Ben, how I know you've been working on some good stuff this week. I can't say what it is, but how much can you tell us? Or is it still secret till next week?
We've got a lot of new stuff coming. I just got all the data I've been waiting for, I've been talking about it like every show for like the last month. I just got all that stuff, but now I'm gonna drive for 2.5 hours with 6 people and a dog, and then be in the airport and then fly 5 hours and then drive another hour and a half to get to my parents' house to visit family.
Oh, that's right. You're going out to Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll be there for a week, but as long as people there sleep, then once they go to sleep, I can work, and I might be a zombie by the time I get back. But yeah,
Oh no.
there's a lot of cool stuff I'll be able to check out.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, and at least one of them I think we'll announce on Tuesday. We'll have a guest, and we'll make an announcement on Tuesday, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let me know if you want pictures for the new stuff Ben's probably mentioning. I have a bunch of those sheds in this package. Oh, yeah. If it's research stuff, it'll probably get, like, once it arrives in Texas, they'll probably redirect it to Ben for research, maybe. And then if it's like for actual testing, it'll just be stay down there in Texas. But we'll see. Depends on what that is. And Sweet Slithering Delights is wondering, do we have any GeneX sheds for testing?
Not very many. Definitely could use more.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those that's kind of difficult. What do you say, Troy? Do you see very many Gen X? For a little while, it seemed to be pretty hot, and then just don't really see it much anymore.
I know a few breeders that are working with it. Outside of Canova, I know like Jay over at JLP. I know they have some GeneX stuff. We don't work with GeneX here. We do have Extreme Gene that we work with actually quite a bit. And it's very much a color enhancing gene. So yeah, we've never really kind of crossed over into the GeneX stuff. So GeneX also was very heavily put into Pied, I guess, worked in Pied with Canova for a long time. And then, I just haven't really seen a ton about it in a while, other than a few animals that I've seen, like I said, at on Jay and Lizzie's table from JLP Morphs at a couple shows.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I ever had was a Pied combo that we got from it was originally, I think the breeders were from Canova, but we got it from McGale, I think. So
Nice. Yep.
Brian Bodie said that you guys saw there in the running thing, but there's a Zawadi in there. So yeah, there's someone else on the IG saying they had a cinnamon Zawadi they were going to send a shed from, but that girl actually passed away, so that's a bummer.
Oh.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. If you still have her, you could still get a scale clipping though, for a few.
RZR BK Fan 81. Yeah, if you can get some kind of any kind of a sample, a scale clip, even if they passed away, as long as they haven't been rotting or anything. If it's frequent or recently passed away, then that would still work. But yeah, it's not a fun situation. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, one of the by far the coolest looking animals I produced last year came out of the egg and passed away before I ever got it out of the egg box, which was literally, I went to check on it a day or two later.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. It was heartbreaking because that snake was phenomenal looking. So
of course.
That's the bad part. Working with live animals is a lot of fun, but obviously that's you can't have the really high highs without the really low lows.
Well, that was exceptionally low. I mean, that was the only baby I lost all of last season, and it was probably the most amazing baby that we did.
That sucks.
Go figure that. I mean, it's going to be Murphy's Law, right?
Of course. Oh, speaking of which, I finally got my first clutch of viable hognose eggs. It was 21 eggs, 5 were fertile, 1 has gone bad. So I have 4 left. And of course I pared down the massive rat snake clutches I was getting because they wouldn't be crazy, but I did that. And then I came home yesterday to find my incubator beeping out of nowhere. And the temperature was off, like it was lower than it should have been. So I'm like, okay. I walk up, I fiddle with it, and it drops down to like 5 degrees Celsius. I'm like, excuse me. So I put it back up, and then like 2 seconds later, it drops down again, like severe malfunction. So I'm freaking out. I'm running around the house trying to find the manual for it. I eventually give up like 10 minutes later and go find the online manual. It says nothing about those alerts. And so I go in there and the eggs have already started to get cool to the touch. So I stuck them in a rack and they're still staying warm in a rack right now, but they got uncomfortably cool and I am kind of freaked out, but yeah. So I'm talking with the manufacturer, but oh my God.
That would be very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
This was something purchased as a reptile incubator.
Yeah, a little Vivor, like one of those mini, like it's basically a wine cooler, but it's a reptile incubator. It is marketed as such and has decent reviews, but I've had it for about 2, maybe 3 years now, I think. So it's well past the warranty, and it's just like that was like yesterday coming home from work. They only cooled for like maybe 10 minutes, but it was terrifying. Eggs can go down into the 70s for a while. That's kind of what I was wondering, especially with them all being like colubrids, like North American colubrids specifically. Like they can, it was, I'm sure it's kind of a temperature shock to the embryos, but I'm really hoping that it's not too much of a shock for them. So,
yeah.
Yay, snake breeding.
To answer the question in the chat there, we have not been vending Raleigh, actually, or Raleigh. We have actually tried to get into that show a bunch of times, and there's a long waiting list for vendors to get into that show. So we've never actually vended in Raleigh. So the closest we get to there, the only North Carolina show we do is the Repticon in Charlotte, whenever that's around. And then we've done the last 2 All-American shows as well. We did vend one Repticon in Fayetteville, which actually was really nice. It was in a fairly new venue, but we haven't made it back there. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Tracy, the Herpstat spider web. Yeah, I've been considering getting one of those, and I think after this, I probably will. Wi-Fi enabled push alerts. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And then incubating in the hatchling racks. Yep. Yeah, no, we're fine. I have plenty of, they're like my older baby racks that I just stuck the whole things into, and they've been doing fine since. So,
but you can't trust hognose moms with their eggs.
No.
They might eat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the cool thing about ball or any pythons, that they actually incubate them. The moms incubate them. That's actually pretty rare, but since a lot of us here, probably ball python breeders, we're used to it, but it's actually not a really common thing. I think some cobras do too, or something like that.
Really? That's cool.
Can't remember for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, reptile related. I found out this weekend that box turtles not only can box turtles swim, but they can actually swim really, really well. I went out on a box turtle releasing adventure on Monday, and oh my gosh, we were releasing them back to their home after they'd been rehabbed. Most of them hit by cars or something, or had like ear infections. And after that, we making the trip down, we stuck them in the creek and they went to the deep part, and sure enough, they started swimming, and like their little tall shells almost acted like it made them extra buoyant. It was amazing. Yes.
Well, isn't that oh, I'm sorry. Forgive my ignorance, but isn't that the kind of difference between tortoises and turtles? Like turtles,
pretty much. Yeah.
Aquatic, Hey, Craig, what's going on, man?
Yeah. But no, with box turtles, they're kind of like, they're technically semi-aquatic, but they live more of a terrestrial life, but it's like yes and no. They're the weird guys who they're kind of the weird guys who are the exception to the rule, the exception that proves the rule, but also, yeah. Let's see. Oh, Xander, just so you guys know, my dad got an electric wheelchair and is doing, there we go. And is actually doing really well considering he's ill. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for the update.
I know that's been scary for a long time, so that's nice to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. And Tracy, so many people don't realize how important water is for box turtles. Oh yeah. They have I think Garden State Tortoise put it really well, that like they have a deep relationship with water. Like, you know, the other side of it, like I get panicked when I get calls from people. They're like, I found a turtle and I just dunked it in a fish tank. And I'm like, freaks me out naturally. But so they can swim and they're good at it, but also they need to, you know, turtles can still drown. And all that. But yeah, they are. I just never seen it in person. I wish I'd gotten a video. I would show you guys, but it was crazy. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'll say the only experience I ever really had with turtles is my stepson had some like the red-eared sliders.
A classic, yes.
Yeah, so he had some of those in a tank in his room there for a while.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really have much experience with a lot of turtles.
Fair enough.
When I grew up in Utah, there weren't any turtles for many hours. Yeah. And then here, the only ones I've seen, I guess we have seen eastern box turtles, and then at Pandapis Pond, are those
usually,
I can't remember the red-eared. Are they some kind of sliders?
They're yellow-bellied sliders and painted turtles.
Painted, okay. Yeah, I think those are what we've mostly seen.
Yeah.
So for this third black pastel line, that's the data I just got today on the day that I'm going to be traveling a whole bunch. So, yes, I will definitely be checking that out. And then as far as additional gravel mutation, I haven't been able to play with that much yet. Taryn, I know you said you had sent, I think, 3 examples. Let me know if you sent them to the Texas address or to my Virginia address. And if they went to Texas, we'll have to make sure they get them to me. Can't remember seeing those, or maybe they were just labeled different. If you let me know how they were labeled and where they were sent to, I'll make sure that I get those in process.
Mm. All right.
I haven't been to any Ohio shows. Have either of you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I've been to, oh my gosh, it's been so long. Is it Mid-Ohio, or they have them down in Cincinnati? I've been to the Sin City show in Cincinnati, but only right around there, around Cincinnati. So Northern Kentucky, I think there was one there. Oh gosh, in Florence, Kentucky, I think once, and that's like a little suburb of Cincinnati. But yeah, that's my only experience with shows up there. So, and just attending, I haven't been to any. Didn't been to any of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that Sin City show was pretty big. It was actually pretty nice. Seemed like it was
awesome.
Put on pretty well. Yeah.
Very cool. As for RK stuff, that's the same boat as the third line of black pastel. I just got that data, so that's another one I'll be looking at. I have gotten a few RKs, but probably only like 3 or 4. So if people out there still have some, I definitely could use more sheds.
Yeah. Love the blood python profile pic, by the way. I saw like the really stripy lines of blood pythons today. Like I saw those pictures and I was like, oh my God, that's the one that I want as a blood python. It's so pretty. I just need to get first my computer fixed, then we'll look at other enclosures and then blood python.
Yeah, bloods are awesome.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Cal the Blood. Yeah. Cal the Blood on IG said, I'll send some more RK sheds. He has a group. So yeah, that would be awesome. High Octane Exotics on IG. Are you going to do Tokay shed testing, or know if anyone is going to?
Ooh.
I have not had anyone send me.
Yeah.
If anyone has sent me, it has to only be like 1 or 2. And I would imagine it will be difficult to get that funded to do any test development for something like Tokays. Unfortunately, that's the hard part. If it's an animal that feeds people, then there's millions of dollars to do research. But when they're pets, it's a lot harder to find the funding.
Definitely.
Is there any update on like the second line of red stripe?
Same thing. I have more data again. So yeah, I'll be playing with that too. Yeah.
Yay. Brian's asking, Ben, would it be good to get sheds from babies' parents and grandparents where the babies hatched and were all shed on day 55 when I checked them in undergrad? I thought this was genetic. Oh, like the day babies hatched and were all shed on day 55. I would think that temperature and like environment of the egg, just that egg incubation would affect timing more, but I wouldn't be surprised if genetics played a part too. Well, I'm sure they do, because that's
Babies, parents, and grandparents where the babies hatched and were all shed on day. So you're just saying the first shed was a really delayed first shed. There might be a researcher that would be interested in that. Yeah, that's definitely funky for a whole clutch to go. I've had like one or two out of a clutch or a litter be weird like that, but a whole clutch, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Like, were there any other effects? Like, because you'd think that there would be some sort of negative or different effect, like in the baby's quality of life or, ability to retain water or anything like that. Like, how were they different? That's really interesting. Locked and loaded ball pythons. Hey, just joined. Just wanted to know if the monsoon test is out yet. Also, do you know if it's a recessive or a codom or incomplete dom? Oh, Troy, no, come back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll have some more monsoon update here pretty soon in the next week or two or something.
Sorry
like
about that.
Welcome back.
No worries.
Yeah,
just asking about monsoon. We'll have an update on that here in the next week or two, so y'all will know right where we're at. As far as whether monsoon is recessive or incomplete dominant, those of you that have watched the show already know what I say to this. So as far as the DNA code, it doesn't care what's expressed. It doesn't know what's expressed. It just has the code there. And then you have it go to mRNA, and then it goes to a protein, and then that protein goes and functions. And that's what, like in the case of ball python morphs, we have color and pattern differences. So in the DNA code, there's either 0 copies, 1 copy, or 2 copies. But there's nothing from the code where we can tell, oh, this is going to be visually expressed with 1 copy, or it will only be visually expressed with 2 copies. That the DNA can't tell you that. The RNA or gene expression, that could potentially, if there was a way to measure that, you might be able to see a difference, like with monsoon specifically, between a completely negative monsoon versus a het versus homozygous. There might be something in gene expression that's different that you could measure. But as far as what's in the DNA, all we can tell you is there's code there for 1 copy of monsoon or 2 or none. So we can't really answer that question from the DNA. It would have to come from the RNA, or even better from breeders. What you see as breeders, it clearly seems like there's an indication a lot of the time, but it's not perfect. It's not there all the time. So yeah, it's one of those kind of like paint, kind of in the middle.
Do you find that people early on, like when they first get shed test results, and they'll see het come back, or homozygous, not really understand, that het is 1 copy, homozygous is 2 copies, doesn't matter if it's, if
we
it's
did
something
do
with a super or a recessive, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I was just answering that question again yesterday. It definitely is frequently asked. We did do a short video. I think it's less than a minute. It's something about, why is my leopard a het, or how is my leopard a het, or something like that, or my orange dream. I can't remember what we did, but pastel is another one. And tell somebody you have a homozygous pastel, or if you have a het pastel, they don't like hearing that. They're very quick to educate you on why you're wrong, but
Right.
So yeah, it definitely can be confusing, but it really is as simple as either there's 0 copies for a morph mutation like pastel. If there's 0 copies, it's normal. There's no pastel at all. If there's 1 copy, that means that it's heterozygous for that mutation, which would be pastel in this case. If there's 2 copies, then it's homozygous for that mutation, which we would call a super pastel. So it's kind of funny that we're used to using the term heterozygous and homozygous or visual with recessives, but it's the exact same code, whether it's recessive or incomplete dominant or dominant. It's the exact same, stuff that's in the DNA itself, that code. Just want to know if it's 0, 1, or 2, and that's it, no matter how it looks to us as breeders.
Yeah.
I mean, one could make the argument that all homozygous or supers are technically a recessive, or vice versa.
Yeah, and that part of it,
Yeah.
whether you call it recessive or incomplete dominant, that's just for humans. That's just to communicate to other humans. But yeah, the DNA can't tell you. It's either 0, 1, or 2.
I mean, it still takes 2
what you're
copies to make
saying,
one or the other.
Yeah, what you're saying is completely true. And I think, people that are taking the time to think this through, they'll have that light bulb moment. They're like, oh, my super pastel is a homozygous pastel. It will pass 1 copy of pastel to all of its offspring. It's exactly the same if it's a clown. It's homozygous for a clown. It will pass a clown mutation to all offspring. It's exactly the same thing. But for us as ball python breeders, we have that separation where we think, okay, that's recessive. That's how somehow different than, an incomplete dominant like a pastel. But really, it functions the exact same way.
Well, devil's advocate, then though there will be those who will just argue though that they would argue probably a recessive with a single copy shows no or almost no visual version of that gene, where something that we would call a super in the single gene form is clearly visible, demonstrated in the animal in the color or pattern. So but one way or another, genetically speaking,
it's all the same.
It's still the same,
But yeah, that argument or discussion, like with paint or with monsoon, people will keep having that conversation, and that's for people to decide. That's really, how we want to communicate it to other people. But yeah, the DNA, it's all the same. So so we can't help with that discussion. It will just have to keep going.
Yeah, just the only reason I commented this, there was somebody in the chat just a minute ago that was saying that they had hatched out their first clutch and they were going to send in some sheds. So I kind of wanted to put that back out there. So when your shed comes back, heterozygous or heterozygous for pied, that's what you'd expect. But if you have one of the incomplete dominants, that could have a super form, that too could potentially come back with heterozygous on there, and that might confuse the first person sending sheds in for the first time who haven't, really looked into it a lot on what the results will say.
Yes. So the one I was answering yesterday was about hurricane. The result was hurricane, and the question back was, well, does that mean it's negative for super hurricane? And so just kind of going off of what Troy's saying, just so you understand, if you haven't thought about this before, it makes sense that, it doesn't, you don't understand this yet, but that test is going to tell us 0, 1, or 2. It's the same test. And it'll just tell us whether it's 0, 1, or 2. So kind of like what Troy was just saying, just because it comes back as het doesn't mean that we have to do a different test to find out if it's homozygous. It's the same test, and it'll tell us negative, homozygous, or heterozygous.
Yeah. I always find, like Tracy mentioning, if monsoon hets are easy to pick out, then that's not a true recessive. Yeah, I think that one's a fun conversation to have, what makes something incomplete dominant versus a true recessive, like het pieds sometimes having pied tracks,
or ringers.
Or ringers, yeah.
So speaking of that, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, go ahead.
Because this a lot of people, especially new people, are getting in. Just because an animal has a ringer does not mean it is het for pied. There's a lot of different genetics out there that will throw ringers that have nothing to do with pied. Just Want to throw that out there. I didn't mean
We've had people run tests on animals with awesome ringers, like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Is it from a pied or het pied pairing? They're like, no. I was like, oh well. And most of the time they come back negative.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially dealing black pastel, cinnamon, champagne. Those genes throw tons of ringers for like no apparent reason.
Yeah. Even yellow belly or yellow belly complex kind of pulls up from the belly, pulls the pattern up sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, y'all have gotten the word ringers stuck in my head because I've literally been at the wildlife center picking out a possum from, like picking out a possum, and I'll be like, he's got a ringer.
Yeah.
Virginia possum ringer gene. When?
I just wanted to mention this really quick for Karen.
Yeah.
If they went to McKinney, that means I got to make sure they get them from McKinney to me in Virginia, since it's for a new mutation. So I'll try to remember. Like I said, I'm traveling a bunch today. But if you email Sean and just say, hey, did you send those new line of gravel to Virginia yet? He may have, and I just haven't seen them. But my guess is they're still in Texas. So I'll get them here, then I can work on them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dragon Ruler.
Yeah, Geeks kind of made the argument I was saying as well.
Yeah.
But again, scientifically speaking, though, that's what we were trying to say. Like, especially when it comes to getting your results, and it says heterozygous, it just, it's not like negative for that gene. It's just carrying one copy of that genetic trait. So
it's almost like I feel like artistic interpretation isn't a good way to describe it. Like, I've been trying to think of a good metaphor for what the breeders see versus what the genetics say, which is just 1 and 2. It's like softer and more pliable as far as what the breeders see, because we are using an artistic interpretation of what we see on the animal. But I think that, like, if something is an incomplete dominant, then if something's an incomplete dominant, usually that implies the presence of a significant superform. Usually. Well, I guess, no, actually, no, because pastels and a bunch of other things I could think of. So never mind. I just pulled that, out of my back pocket, and it's wrong.
Yeah, there are some genes, like even like Hurricane has an incredibly expressive superform that almost doesn't even look like the same mutation in singleton form too. So, but there's some really fun stuff all involved with genetic testing and all that. So.
Yeah. Super Odie Yellow Belly Boy has a wicked ringer and no known pied in his lineage. Yeah.
Right.
It happens. Sulfur. I still think I don't have very many of those. So if you know people that have them, I could use more for sure. And unfortunately, I only have like a couple minutes left and I have to get off to get going.
Yeah.
But you all definitely can keep going if you would like. But yeah, I got a couple minutes. Any other last minute questions for me before I duck out? And next Thursday, I'll also be traveling back, but it'll just depend on, getting to the airport and all of that. I think I'll at least be able to do a short one next Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll do my best. But yeah, I'll be joining in from the same with Tuesday's episode. I'll be joining in from Utah. So
cool.
Nice. Yeah, I got a couple more weeks, and then I'll be heading to Alaska for 10 days.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we love Alaska. This will be our second time going back.
Awesome. What are you good? I've always wanted, it's been like a pipe dream of mine to just like heave-ho a big salmon out of the water during the salmon run. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, just make sure you get there like late July, some like mid-August. That's like peak salmon run time.
Cool.
And then what you can do is you can go to Ketchikan, Alaska, and go to Creek Street, because the creek runs right through the middle of town, and you can kind of literally walk down there and do that very thing.
Dude, that's awesome.
Right.
Ketchikan.
Just
That's a
really
great.
look around first, though, to make sure there's no bears also wanting
Oh
to
yeah,
track, because there are a ton of bears up
I do not
there.
want smoke with a grizzly. Any bears, really.
Yeah. Lot more black bears up there, though, than grizzlies.
Yeah, you actually might overlap with Sean. He's going to be in Alaska on a cruise.
No way.
I think maybe some of those, if you're going in a couple weeks, some of the same days that you'll be up that way. So
Yeah, we'll be on a cruise too. Maybe he's going to be on the same ship as
that
we
would
are.
be so
That would
funny.
be amazing.
Dude.
So, yeah,
That would be hilarious.
Matter of fact, I'm going to call him when we get off here and ask him what cruise he's going on.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that would be so cool.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So
yeah, they've delayed their. I think a big part of it's just how busy we've been with RGI, but they've delayed their honeymoon a year and a half. But he's delayed it as long as he can get away with and not be in trouble. So they're making it happen.
Nice.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good for him. Sean's a hardworking guy, so that's yeah.
So last question before I duck out. The different lines of axanthic, TSK, VPI, and MJ, are they completely separate genes? They are, and they're on different chromosomes. So that's a pretty cool example of they must be, I'll leave it to the people that do more academic stuff to answer this for sure, but it's likely there are 3 different genes on 3 different chromosomes that all play a part in one process. And so if you have a process with 10 steps in there, if you mess up any of those 10 steps, you can cause the same change as possible. You might cause different changes too, but in this case, it seems like there's at least 3 different places in the ball python genome that if you make interruptions, then you get that same look, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting.
That is.
So we have, is it known though, like for sure, like black axanthic and TSK are the same, and then was there something else that was tested the same as MJ
and GCR?
GCR, yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But otherwise, as far as we know, the others are different. What about oh my gosh, there's the Joliffe. Do we know anything about that one at all? Joliffe.
That one I've only had a couple sheds come in, so I can't really make a conclusion because that could just be a shed mix up, or if I had like 5 to 10 that I'd run and they all told me the same thing, then I could make a conclusion. But that's kind of another one where you heard about it, 10, 20 years ago.
Right.
You don't really hear about it anymore. So if anyone knows someone that still has Joliffe stuff, I would love to run a few more.
It makes me wonder, though, for a gene like that to almost have faded off into oblivion, so to speak, makes me wonder if it was compatible with one of the others, and it just, phased out because people realized it was basically the same thing and just stopped calling one Joliffe. Maybe I have no idea. I'm speculating completely. So.
Yeah,
it definitely could be with how much we've already found multiple lines to be the same. That could have happened with Joliffe also.
So since they are actually on the West Coast, they're RMS. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's on the West Coast, California, I think.
Yeah, he's California.
So Joliffe, I do see from time to time, even around down here in the southeast part of the country, in the Carolinas. And I saw a few around Kentucky as well when I was up that way, but they're still few and far between. Seems like VPI is prevalently, like, by far the most worked, but I do still see TSK fairly often. There's like one of the more well-known breeders here that exclusively works TSK, and that'd be like Limey Smidger at Royal Reptilia and a few other guys. I think actually John at BlackRock, I think he does TSK as well.
Okay.
Tables in Ohio.
Yeah. And so I better take off or I'm going to be in trouble.
Oh, please don't get in trouble.
Feel free to keep rolling. Thanks for joining in, all of you. And like I said, for me, I'll be back again in the episode Tuesday night, and then on Thursday, probably another short one for me. But thanks for joining in and have fun talking.
Yeah.
Hey, have a safe trip. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I think we're probably going to call it here. Just because I think when Ben leaves, it's also going to shut off the Instagram. And I don't want to just leave them hanging. So I will say though that guys, you should tune in for next Tuesday. Hopefully we'll have some announcements. I can't say what they are yet, but just it's exciting. Okay. We haven't even told Troy. He's a great sport for being here and just being like, well,
I'm in the dark just as much as everybody else when it comes to all the new information coming out. But maybe I'll get Sean to spill some of it to me when I call him and ask him what cruise is going on.
There you go. Be like, I'll buy you a drink on the cruise while we're there. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Especially since we have the drink package already. That'd probably be.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's the way to do it.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.